All right. Hey, everybody, it's Fun Time Friday. And you know what that means? What's that mean, Chris? We're going to have fun. That was the extent of my energy. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to One Page Comic Extravaganza, episode 1,500,900,000. 159. And, yeah, it's Fun Time Friday. So, let's be serious and really think about what we're going to do today. I got my Fun Time Friday pipe out.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I introduced a show like this. Hey, everybody. It's Fun Time Friday. Okay. So, up on the screen right now, I've got yesterday's... Put the chair here for you now. Up on the screen right now, I've got yesterday's story that was suggested. It was Baker Bakes a Demon Loaf of Bread. So we did it. It was a lot of fun. Yesterday, I painted the page. I don't normally paint pages, but I did yesterday. And it turned out pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with it. The originals are up on our Patreon page. And, it's all happy. And then it'll go up on the Substack on Sunday. And the Substack, what's that, Chris? Well, let me tell you about it. On our Substack, which is another page under my name. Hey, Chris Kalu's here. How you doing, Chris? Welcome. Chris has Wednesday and Friday afternoons off. Yeah. She says that, but then she spends, she has to do a whole bunch of grading.
Yeah.
Students are the worst. Yeah, so come on up. Yep, it's everybody's here today. It's an exciting day. Let's test this out here. Hold on a second. Maybe I can't. Is that stuck somewhere? Hold on, I'm doing something. Some of them. All right. Okay, there we go. We got it. It took a minute. Hi, Christopher. Is that Lori? Hold on. Is Cat Cam coming up or no? It's not even. Cat Cam isn't even coming up. What a waste of a camera. All right. Yes, it is Lori.
Hi, Dee Dee.
I have class in 4 hours. I can be here like 1.5. Awesome. I got Corbin on one side of me. I got Lori on the other side of me. This is a good day. Here we go. Cat Cam's not working, so you get this. Corbin, say hello. Corbin? No, forget it. He's leaving. He doesn't like being on camera. And then there's Lori. All right. Hi, everybody. So yesterday's page I put up on the Instagram and Facebook and Patreon, and they go up on the Substack. It was a fun one to do. I enjoyed that. It's nice to switch gears and to work in different medium all the time. Judy says it's Corbin and the lovely Lori. Chris says hi, Lori, as well.
Hi, Chris.
Okay, so Lori's hanging out in the studio with me today. Copy editing all the pages that I've done, which is very necessary. So, so she's visiting with us today, and it's been a long week, but we're here. As per usual, I brought some books in to show folks, and I'll just switch cameras to do that. Boink. Okay, so let's see. Where do I start? This is... Get your butt out of the way. This is a book of Sean Galloway. Now, Sean Galloway, or as he goes as Cheeks Galloway, he's a fantastic artist, but he has a very animated style. But I really like his work, and It's clean. It's done digitally. He does a lot of design work, and then on top of that, I'm wearing my two cow shirt.
Two-headed cows.
Two-headed cows. Yep. Because it's Fun Time Friday. Anyways, I like his work because it was clean. It's very clean, but at the same time, he's got an incredible sense of color in his compositions. Highly stylized work, reinterpreting all kinds of popular media stuff. A lot of it rooted in the 80s, because I find a lot of people that had their prime in the 1980s tend to think that that's the highlight of creativity as they get older, and they keep going back and rehashing it. But at the same time, not all of them, but a lot of people, this is his interpretation of the Lois Lane, Superman, Peter Parker. Like it's just the way that he illustrates is a lot of fun. And like here's his Spider-Man. So he did a lot of the design work for one of the animated Spider-Man programs. I couldn't tell you which one because I haven't seen them, but it's great stuff. It really is. He's got a really good, strong sense of character and character development. So Philip says, "Hey there, I think I follow him on Instagram." Oh yeah, he's a fun guy. Here's some of his sketch cards. I like those a lot. They're a lot of fun. Yeah, his rough pencils. So this is a fun book. The ISBN for this, I have to find.
Chris says, I was in my teens in the 80s. So were Christopher and I.
Yeah, you're not alone in that. That's a perfect age to get up to no good. Okay, next up, there's no ISBN on that. It's an independently produced sketchbook that he sold at shows. So this is the graphic novel of A Scanner Darkly. It's an adaptation of Philip K. Dick's work. Philip K. Dick is also the writer of Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which became the movie Blade Runner. We Sell It Cheap at Wholesale, which became the movie Total Recall. Minority Report, which became the movie Minority Report. These are all adaptations of Philip K. Dick's work. A Scanner Darkly was done recently by Richard Linklater. And this book is basically capturing stills from the film, because the entire film was rotoscoped animation of actual actors. Like that's Corey something from one of those NCIS crime scene shows. And that's Robert Downey Jr. Keanu Reeves plays the lead in this. Winona Ryder is lady he's interested in. It's a crazy adaptation. It's a really difficult piece to adapt. Woody Harrelson's in this. It's a goofy cast, that's for sure. But it's great to see it adapted, And so the fact that they did it in this animated form, it's just still shots for them to transfer that over to putting it into a graphic novel form. So big win. And if you like Philip K. Dick, it's a wonderful adaptation of a really difficult project of his, because people walk around in these weird sort of suits that the suit is it's clearly just a bodysuit, like a cover that you're wearing that has a different person, like a different face, a different voice. And so people walk around in that, and it's a really difficult thing to try to figure out how to envision. But they managed to see, this is what I'm talking about. This is a person with a weird thing. So they have this sort of shimmer around them, and their hair color and their skin color and everything's constantly changing, as well as their voice. So it's a way to describe people, or to defy surveillance. It's complicated. It's Philip K. Dick. It's very complex and complicated. So this is ISBN 0375 42402-4. That's a fun one. Here's the thing of beauty. I've talked about John J. Muth's work before. He's got a beautifully illustrated Dracula book that he did in charcoal and Conte and gesso, graphite. He's got an absolutely miraculous adaptation of M, the 1937 film by Fritz Lang. And, He's also done Moonshadow. He's written or illustrated the book Moonshadow, which is a fantastic 12-issue comic series. It's beautifully illustrated in graphite and watercolor and ink, and just it's worth looking at. Vanitas is a book that collects his paintings, drawings, and ideas, and you can see some of his larger compositions. This is just a gorgeous, gorgeous book. Steedy saying, Lori, I am in chapter 4 of Mitford.
Nice.
Nice.
Barnabas must be on scene. And soon the third member of the household will be joining.
Dun, dun, dun. So this is just more of his works. And there's just this beautiful resist effects that he's got happening, and light brush gesso over top of graphite and charcoal drawings. And I really like his work, and to see these in black and white instead of the color images that I have in a different book, I think that these are more powerful because it really just focuses specifically on the shapes and the interpretation of the shapes as form, and it gives a bigger emotional resonance to it. But he's brutally talented, just fantastic. Like, look at that piece. So you can just imagine the light dappling through those windows. To think that that's a painting, not a photograph. Uh-oh, adult warning. So here he is working in his studio, and the size of see this canvas that he's stretching here, which is the size of this piece of a forest that he's painting. So just a real great talent, and he's got his kids putting the underpainting on. How fantastic is that? You know, let him go, because he's just going to incorporate it anyways. I'm a big fan of that. Surprise. So here's some of the color representations of those previous works I was telling you about, and then here's some of his painting itself. So just a really talented guy, fantastic work. That's gorgeous. With the immateriality of the ghosts.
Dee Dee says, you feel a part of the town. It's so true. You feel like you know, all the different community members in Mitford, and it's awesome. It's like, it is like a home away from home.
Is Mitford the one that I'm trying to make the map of the town for you?
No, there is a map in the inside cover. That was in the Vinci book.
Oh, okay.
That I read last summer, and there was no map, and I was so lost, and you did that for me.
Yeah.
I appreciated that.
Well, that's just, you got a good writer when you can. It takes weirdos like me, but you can go through and as they're writing and depicting where things are on the street, you just plant them on the street and figure out where the off-road and in-road enters, and in accordance to how British towns and Irish towns are designed in that region. So it's like, cool. Dee Dee says, here's a map, Christopher. The gray tones look great. Yeah, it's powerful work, Chris, that John J. Muth does. And I'm a big fan of his stuff. And look at these textures. Hold on, let me hold it up. Can you see these resist textures? What? So pretty. I know, really exciting, right? But yeah, I like his stuff. I like his work in general. There's some of his resource photos that he's taken for his compositions. Yeah, big fan. Look at that. Look at all that wonderful texture and color. So good. Okay, the last thing I got to show you today, and then we're going to crack a lackin', is Dee Dee, can I send you a zine by email? It's a project of 2016. Maybe it can be added to your collection. You can color it. Interesting. Oh, that's good. That's a good question. Okay, this is Blab. This is from a number of years ago. I don't know how old Blab is. This is from '98 that I picked this book up, and it's got a whole bunch of indie stuff. There's going to be some confrontational images, but I have this for one reason above all else, is that Al Columbia started off as the studio assistant for Bill Sienkiewicz and working on Big Numbers, a book that Bill was doing with Alan Moore. And then Al Columbia took over the job, and there was a big kerfuffle in the studio, and Al is a bit eccentric. Anyways, long story short, Big Numbers ended at issue 2 of a 4-book story, and number 3 was set on fire. But Al Columbia is a fantastically talented individual. He's a little dark. He has a book called Pim and Francie, which is pretty extreme. But this is Al adapting the Book of Revelations into a comic book form and doing it so that it looks like a 1930s Fleischer era cartoon. And so, if you can imagine all of the crazy and extreme images of Revelation being depicted in this cartoony way, you can just hear that, sort of a music in the background. But it just goes on and on and on. And I'm not going to focus too much on any of the images because some of them are extreme, right? But there's the beasts as they chase people through the streets. And then there's, all the death and destruction and chaos. And this is a really old book, though. 7-headed beast at the taking over the world. But it ends in this wonderful, lovely way. So it's a crazy adaptation of it, but it's something that I've loved for a long time.
No one can see your 2-headed cow shirt, Mr.
Of course, CKK thanks to send it the weekend. I like that cover, Christopher. This one, the Blab? Yeah, this is, what's his name? Christian Northeast. Or no, I'm so sorry. That's Gary Baseman. That's Baseman that does that. He's got all of his art sort of like this. It's kind of nutty. That's another one, too. Made in the USA. Yeah. Gary Baseman's one of those underground juxtapose type artists. Lord, everybody says that you need to see my 2-headed cow shirt. It's my fun shirt for Fridays. See that? Fun Time Friday. She really wanted me to make sure I showed everybody my 2-headed cow shirt. Philip doesn't like it. It does look like Fleischer. Yeah. It's he's just incredibly talented. It's just he's dark, and he takes this Fleischer-esque style art and tells really dark stories. So, but I really like Al Columbia's work. So it's mixed bag. Okay, so I'm gonna get out whatever we're working on today. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should pick a suggestion. Unless you have a suggestion off the top of your head, I should do.
I don't.
Okay. I'll find one in the book. Yeah. Do you want to pull up this stuff?
Okay.
Let you do your thing and then stop. Oh, here. Hold on. Let me do this first. I'll grab that and then this. There you go. Okay, so Diddy says I almost bought a Basement book last month, but it was wrapped, so I passed. Yeah, it's an interesting style. It's that underground style. Robert Williams started a magazine called Juxtapose, and so a lot of these guys from that Juxtapose group, that alt underground, cool hipster Californian group, Mark Ryden and Gary Baseman and Coop and Williams, and they're not a big gang of guys. It's just all of these artists get, similar books, cover their material, and they got their own styles and they're doing their own thing. And, I like it. It's not for everybody, but I really like underground art. I think the greatest contribution to art history that has come out of America is underground art. And a lot of this stuff where you've got eccentric people that have an absolute need for self-expression, and they've got some paint, but for whatever reason they're painting on the bottom side of a muffin tray for baking, because that's the surface they've chosen to work on, and it makes sense in their heads. Or the one fella who had been photographing this entire epic adventure of, and somebody will remember his name, is set in this fictitious town during World War II, where he's got Barbie dolls enacting a war against the Germans. Somebody will remember who that was, but it's there's the underground artists are the ones that I think are doing some things that make you go, okay, that is compelling in and of its own right. And there's all kinds of extra hang-ups and extra things about it while that's going on, but at the same time, what's funny?
It's going to make everything go. I'll do this at the same time, so I'll do it later.
Oh, okay. Never heard of it. Barbie and War. Here. Can you type up World War II doll photos? Yeah, okay, so there's a town. Reenactment, how do you spell that? Hold on. Well, I can't think of it right now. Yeah, he made these in the last 20, 30 years. And what happened was it was this sort of small town guy, kind of an artist and kind of a different fella, and he got beat up in a bar. And he had serious trauma to his head. And so he came back eventually to work at the bar as, the cleaner. But his whole thing was to do all of these fantastic photos in his backyard. He set up a small French village, and he would take these Barbie dolls and Ken dolls and G.I. Joe dolls, and he would recreate World War II scenes, and it had all of this entire narrative. And he had a character like a doll of himself, and it helped him to feel that it helped him reestablish his sense of identity. So it was it's really like, it's not perverse. It's not like it's this dolls kicking the butts of German dolls, and again, the guy's got head trauma, but it's just interesting. It's this weird way person's expressing underground. Milford or something like that. Not Mitford, but it has a town that starts with an M as well. Anyhow, it doesn't matter right now. I'll find out what it is and tell you on Monday. Stay tuned for Monday. But it was, but yeah, he used G.I. Joes and Barbies and Ken dolls, and it was this whole narrative, and he did this for a long time, and he's passed away now, but it was this thing that he had to do to reestablish his own sense of identity and equilibrium. And there's films on it. There's documentaries on it. There's been massive exhibitions in New York City with the large prints of the photography that he would do from it, and just crazy stuff. But I wish I could remember the name of it now. It's just like I said, it's some weird underground artist way of doing some work. Okay, so Baker Bakes Demon Loaf of Bread is done. We've got dog fights on the docket. We've got a whole bunch of different conspiracy pages that we can do. Pangea loses rifle on the trainee loses a rifle on Dartmoor. Oh, okay, that's a good one. Frankenstein is a hairdresser. We've got some 3-word prompts. The white apes of the Congo, shellfish people cloned by chickens as the masterminds. We had some fun ideas here, folks. Oh, Marwin. Yeah, Marwin. That's it. That's the one. Marwin. That's the name of the town. And thank you, Kat. Marwin is it's crazy. Like it's absolutely crazy. The level of effort that he put into these things, and the photography is fantastic. But he wasn't a well guy. He wasn't. It's just Marwin. Marwin. Just that's all. Yeah. See, images. Yeah. So yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy cool stuff. But hi, Kat. I loved your starring role in Christopher's comic. I have to step up my Barbie photography game. Yeah, you got. What are you doing? Get going. See, there's the pictures now. And then they just did a movie with Steve Carell in it, or Steve, one of the Office guy. Um, but the original photography is far better than the photography they did for that film. Just in case anybody's looking at it and sees likenesses of Steve Carell in the Barbies, G.I. Joes, look for the original photography. It's so much more interesting because it has that rough. These are clearly Barbie dolls. These are clearly real dolls and not sculpted dolls to look like celebrities with better quality to them. It's interesting stuff. Okay, Pangea is a fun idea. A one-page idea of Pangea. Um, Pangea is one of those things where, it's pure flight of fancy. We know very little about Pangea at all. And because, there's realization now that the oldest surface area on the planet Earth right now is only 1.5 billion years old, and 1.5 million years old, because the Earth in a geodesic upheaval shifts the tectonic plates around Earth all over the place, and there's only one place on the whole planet that's really relatively untouched. So, step up my Barbie photography game. Maybe not. Yeah. It's all the girls are the French resistance in the town, and yeah. I'm talking about Marlin again. Okay, another idea is some of the conspiracy ideas that we have. Mankind did not evolve from apes. We came from outer space. Dinosaurs are alive in Africa in the 1980s. That's actually kind of fun. Not that the other ones aren't, but two hipster cops appear in all the different comic books. I still have to look that up. The Kandahar Giant, Hollywood Volume 3. Oh, that's that book. Cats and Spies, sent by aliens. All octopi and mollusks are aliens. I fit that into something else. Underwater are live dinosaurs. There's cats, Emiliano Kobiak. I gotta check that off. Cats are gifted to lion people when Egypt was a thing. All right. So I think let's try dinosaurs are alive in Africa. Why not? And now that Pangea close-up with Godzilla in it. Mark Hogenkamp is interesting. Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely an interesting guy. Pangea. Where is that? Well, that's the other page. Godzilla shaped. Fun. That's fun. Okay. Well, the one I was going to jump to today is dinosaurs alive in Africa, and because that is some good silly fun. Let me correct myself. That's dinosaurs alive in Africa in the 1980s. So that's fun. So yesterday was fun painting instead of drawing. It's not much different. This is Chris and Gary were both referring to this, so it's that's Chris's part, and Gary's part is there is an alleged sauropod in the Congo. Well, we'll get there. And we'll also figure out what a sauropod is. All right, well, let's start with some fun. I have a magazine talking about dinos seen in Africa. Dinos in Africa works too. Just one sec. Okay, we're back. I know I didn't really go anywhere, but you know what I mean. Do you have a pen? It's a fountain pen. You don't like fountain pens. Lori doesn't like fountain pens.
Scratchy. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, wasn't the 80s movie Baby based on that idea? Let me give the name of locals. Let me give the locals gave them one of the dinosaurs. Go for it, Chris. Okay, well, let's start with Africa. That's it all began in Africa. I was watching an interesting documentary about big challenges that Africa, South Africa specifically, are having post Mandela, sorry, and how there's been great problems with corruption in Africa, South Africa specifically. That's too bad. That's challenging. All right. So this is a piece of paper that was jelly plated. No, that's not what it is. Let me correct that. This is the page that a piece of cardstock that I have that is actually pink. But this is what I would roll the brayer on as I'm doing jelly plating. And so I would roll this on here and off we would go to get the jelly plating stuff done. But in the meantime, I need to clear the excess ink off the jelly plate so that it would pick up and everything else. And so as I was learning that process, I'm using this surface for doing that. So you get these really great textures in here, and I like them a lot. So, you know. I had the guy from Greatest American Hero in it. They built full-size mechanical dinos for it. No, I've never seen that, Philip. I'm sorry. That sounds like fun. What did they feed the full-size robot dinosaur? Oh, I guess they were mechanical. I like when you see behind-the-scenes stuff from old films, from the 80s and stuff, and right up through Jurassic Park, where you see, the different performers that have to move parts of things. And so here's the person, oh, I'm afraid of the dinosaur. And when you realize the pre-edited shot is a person waving his head back and forth to look like the monster. And they're covered in like a green bodysuit. It's like, that's so good. That's so good. That's real acting. When you got to pretend to be afraid of that guy. So I'm just going to start off with drawing Africa. That's I know what you're thinking to yourself. You're thinking, come on, shake your body, baby, to the Congo. No, it's bad. And Lori looked at me like, Christopher, that was bad. That's tacky. Well, tacky is why my friends call me Whiskers. Has anybody ever been to Africa? And if so, did you see any dinosaurs? If so, what were their names and how much did they charge for photographs? Because that's a real thing when you're in tourist destinations, is that you got to pay for photographs all the time. Or they run away with your camera while you're just minding your own business, trying to take a picture with the Triceratops. And then some guy says, I'll take that for you. And then they take off with your camera and you got to run through the streets. And before you know it, you're involved in some sort of mistaken case of international espionage. They should make a movie of this. International espionage. Okay, here's some fun. Does anybody know what these two spots right here and right here are called? Conspiracy. Okay, so there's our rough-shaped Africa. Woo-woo! Pterodactyl was seen in 1988, named Congomato. A Triceratops was seen. Oh, my lord. Okay. A pterodactyl. 1988, named Mr. Roboto. Congomato. Close. And then a Triceratops. 1980. Oh, Mokele. That's what that. Mokele Mobembe is what I had written down, and I just thought maybe I had a moment. Mokele Mobembe is a sauropod. There we go. I got all those written down. We'll get those guys in here. All right. So, where are we? Don't worry, Lori. I know I'm in the studio. Okay. So let's get things crack-a-lackin'. Just throwing down some watercolor on top of the Africa map shape we got going here. What's kind of fun with using watercolor on this jelly-plated paper is that because it's just translucent as it's going down, all these different colors in the acrylic are peeking right through. Look at that. It's like built-in texturing on the map. Easy. Just makes it easy for me. I saw dinosaurs, but it wasn't in Africa. It was in the ROM, and they didn't have much to say. I know, except for, what chicken bone, daddy? That's a good week for me. For today. Mr. Roboto. Thank you very much, Mr. Roboto. Is that song stuck in anybody's head now? I like this, the shape of this part of the world, and I like the fact that in a lot of these search for Atlantis videos and movies, and Plato's retelling of a retelling, he says it's to the past the Pillars of Hercules. This and this, Spain and In Africa, that's the Pillars of Hercules. It's the land masses on either side of the Mediterranean Strait. So anything past the Pillars of Hercules, depending on which way you're going through the Pillars of Hercules, either means all of this or it means the entirety of this ocean. And the other continents that are over there. So that sort of makes it nice and wide open for where Atlantis could actually be, which is why you got people saying it's in Mexico, as opposed to being just a really good story. You know, at least that's what we used to tell ourselves back at Atlantis. So the whole purpose of this first image is really just, as the usual, it's just to contextualize the setting. We're in Africa. So I'm missing stuff. I'm sorry for that. I've never been to Africa. I've seen dinosaurs. I've been mini toy set with lots of them. That's cool. I met somebody one time that was so old. Yeah, you're a dinosaur. That joke is so old that the first time I heard it, I fell off my dinosaur. When I was a kid, take us back to your childhood, Chris. Okay, I will. When I was a kid, one of my favorite cartoon characters was Captain Caveman. And if you're not if you're not familiar with Captain Caveman, do yourself a favor and unga bunga, look him up. So, because he's a lot of fun. Because he's so great. There's all kinds of little plays on Superman in the Captain Caveman show, and he's initially just he's a Neanderthal that was discovered off the Flintstones when he was in a cave or something, and when they cracked through the cave, out came this Neanderthal man. And Captain Caveman's body is basically nose and eyeballs with hands and feet inside of a shirt of hair, just this massive hair. And the best part of it is, we got to get going over here. And he'd go, unga bunga, let's get going. And he'd reach in his shirt and he'd pull out like a brontosaurus and he'd throw it on the ground. And then he'd climb up on the back and go, let's go. It's like, how did that guy fit that in his shirt? I want a shirt like that. Chris says, Captain Caveman, yeah. I remember him. The dubbing in Spanish was so fun. Oh, I can just imagine. So I was going to go in and get a tattoo of Captain Caveman. That was my whole objective goal for getting a tattoo, was to get a tattoo of Captain Caveman. And I just never did. I never got around to it. Got a gigantic something or other else on my shoulder, but it goes down halfway down my arm. Yeah, you can't see it. Oh, there it is.
There you go.
Anyways. All right. So yeah, it was that was my hero that I looked up to. I was also the weird kid that people said, "Hey, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And I'd say, "Dinosaur." So who knows? I could have had a part in Gary's books.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? The Christopher Runcosaurus. Yeah, it's the Runcosaurus. All right. So let's think about. So this is how my brain works. If this is set in the 1980s, I think it's really important that we make sure everybody has flock of seagulls here. Is that stupid? 70s and 80s, the dubbing meat in Mexico is considered the best in Latin America. Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to do... let me think here. Yeah, all right. I'm just going to do flock of seagulls here on everybody because, because they ran so far away. So, what am I missing? Okay, that's kind of cool. Except for Barney, he wasn't made out of hair. That's kind of cool. They did a thing recently. Speaking of Saturday morning cartoons, they did a thing. DC has the license for all of those Hanna-Barbera characters, which is how they're doing Scooby-Doo comics and destroying them. But they did this retelling where they tried to recontextualize all of the Hanna-Barbera characters so that it's anthropomorphized people or anthropomorphize the animals, so animals that talk as people or people that become half human, half people, and try to make sense of that as some great big secret government conspiracy thing. It was really bad, but they tried to take some interesting directions with it. They made the Banana Splits bank robbers, which I thought was interesting choices. And then I really enjoy Howard Porter as an artist. I have for years, but I really desperately hate that stupid Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine, whatever the hell it's called, comic that DC put out. It is terrible. That's French. Très terrible. So, what do we got? Barney R was named Pablo. I'm going to pronounce it wrong. Who are we kidding? Like the Marble Stone. Barney Rubble was translated as the Marble Stone. Well, Chris, you backed me up on this before. I told about how in South America, Batman's daytime name is not Bruce Wayne, it's Bruno Diaz, because nobody in South America is named Bruce Wayne. I just thought that was fun. Base designs of one city. What? Base designs that their characters were based off when set in the model sheets. Oh, okay, yeah. My phone, it's something about, okay. Yeah, just great designs, those Hanna-Barbera characters, and I like that. I like that a lot. I like what they were doing. So I didn't make his eyes emo enough, so I had to come through and do another pass on his eyes for the emo 80s. Ridiculous hair this guy had. Did anybody have crazy hair in the 80s? Did anybody do this where you're bouffant your hair up 6 feet from the top of your head, or had a bangs that you could block a quarter with? Did anybody do those hairstyles in the day? Punked up, punk rock guy hair.
So my favorite movie.
Go ahead, say anything, Lori.
Say anything. It's all kinds of those example hairdos.
Yeah, there's so many great bad haircuts, that's for sure. All the mullets.
Yes.
The early days of the mullet.
Yeah.
Kat says, there's a guy here with a Mystery Machine Scooby van, but I ain't getting in it. London's ridiculous because we've got a Scooby-Doo machine van, and then a block around the corner from our house here, these people have is it a minivan? Yeah, they got a minivan that's decorated as the Mystery Machine. And also nearby is a Jurassic Park Jeep. And there's numerous Batmobiles in London. There's a Toyota that's got a casing on it, it's got all those graphic sticky things on it to make it look like an X-Wing. London's got a lot of ridiculous ones. What? Oh, yeah. No, I'm not the important part. I didn't need to see my face. I should just put it on you because you're cuter. Crazy hair. We use a product named Super Punk. Your hairdo could be fixed for days until you washed your hair. My friend Kat, she had a 3-foot tall mohawk. 3 feet tall. Now, unfortunately, she was 5 feet, so she could just duck a little bit to get through doorways. But I'm pretty sure if I had a 3-foot tall mohawk back in that time, I could clear the cobwebs on most rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, so I'm doing the Flock of Seagulls guy. Can anybody think of any Flock of Seagulls songs? I can only think of one. You probably had a bunch. I don't know. There's some great names for bands in the 80s. Psychedelic Furs. What in the world does that mean? Drawn my guts out here. What am I missing? Oh yeah, Super Punk. I like that. I had pretty much this hair. When you've got curly blonde hair, there's not a lot of things to do with that, right? It's doing its own thing, and there you go. The big variations I had on was longer or shorter.
You grew it longer or
shorter. Yeah, I had very long hair when we met.
Yeah.
And then Lori, one time, she tackled me to the ground and shaved my head. She did. She's like, "Take that, tall boy." And she's right down the center first. I had no choice. It's either a reverse mohawk or I'm shaving the rest of it off. She just.
It was a 10-year project for sure.
A 10-year project to get my hair to respectable length. I don't know how many inches. How long was my hair?
It was probably to the mid point or your shoulder blades.
He's definitely spent a lot of time at shoulder blade length.
Yeah.
But just a long-haired guy. It's funny that, like my decision for haircuts was one of not making a decision and just letting it go. Oh, one here. Everybody knew the song, but no one could pronounce the name of the group. They're not missing nothing. And the band was terrible. See, I liked the Psychedelic Furs and the Simple Minds. I'm thinking of early 80s bands. Psychedelic Furs, Simple Minds. Couldn't tell you one song. I ran so far away, I couldn't get away.
Oh, yeah.
That's their one hit song.
Okay.
That's and it's not a great song. It's a pretty basic song, but you know who I wouldn't be surprised if they had some really really fun haircuts would be Dee Dee. I bet you. I could just see Dee Dee having punky doos. Everybody does their Pat Benatar stage and things like that. Or depending on how stylish they were, they could also have been like a Marie Bottrell look. I think my mother might have been a Marie Bottrell look. And then she had the big shoulder pads and her outfit, blazers to back that up. It's very hip. Philip, I get it. I do regrettable things on my cell phone. This is the same person. You're talking about doing regrettable things. This is the same person who has the bravura to go to a public beach and wear a Koviak scarf. That's Kat that I'm talking about. She has her own Koviak scarf. So I'm just putting down flat base colors here. And I'm gonna get a little more creative in a minute. But this is our host for. Hey guys, remember the '80s? He's got his flock of seagull hair. This is where this tangent has been leading, folks. And because I like so much the texture of the paper, the roller paper. If you use cardstock and all of that excess paint that you're rolling out onto this extra sheet of paper in order to take off all of the excesses on your specific jelly plating. And your specific jelly plate for the specific image. Wow. Save that paper too, because then you get this really fantastic granular. Let me see if it appears if I bring it up closer. See all that crazy granular information that's in there? It's pretty great. I like that a lot. It's fun to work on. Kat says, I've had the same look since kindergarten. Well, you got a little taller. I still wear my special K scarf. I'm not taking it off. I drew her smelling the scarf in the comment page.
Yeah.
That could have gone really wrong. Because I'm offended by that. Didn't know you were a scarf sniffer, Kit. I'm not. It's just Chris saying that I am. How does he even know? Okay, so I'm just running through this jelly roll pen and pulling in some white into the surfaces. So I don't know if I mentioned this. Lori's in the studio with me today as she goes through and does the final edit on the book. So on Monday we have a meeting to move ahead with things and get this book out. And we have to figure out, well, what am I going to have at my table at London Comic Con since this book is not going to be ready in time. We'll have to figure something out. I have not had the same look since kindergarten. When I was a kid, shaved look was in for the young boys when I was growing up, so I had a little shaved head, and it was also partially because when I was little, I had platinum blonde hair, and of course, it being curly, platinum blonde, I looked like, if it had any length to it whatsoever, I immediately start looking like Shirley Temple. And so that people didn't think I was a girl, squeaky little voice that I had, my father would shave my head. The memories. Huh?
Yeah.
The good times. Hi, Riri. And hi, I'm Miriam. Okay, so here's our host that I'm putting in, and we'll add some more to them. I'm just putting the white down. Let's just sort of pull them up from the background a little bit, and then I get a little more elaborate with them as I go. But I'm just having fun pulling out whatever comes out of my thing, and my box of tools, my BOT. Everything's a BOT. My book of suggestions is my box, my book of tricks. Mm-hmm. I'm glad you're liking that Mitford book, Diddy. We should have had you do the books today. I thought you were going to say Robert Plant. Love Zeppelin. Big Zeppelin fan. And the Honey Drippers. When Led Zeppelin was given some prestigious award in the United States there from the whatever serving president there was, they had all these bands performing Zeppelin tunes on stage. And, okay, yeah, next. And then because they're just not the same. And then Ann and Nancy Wilson from Heart came up and just kerplazzo, just pow, just kick butts. And if you get an opportunity to hear that, it's fantastic. And then on top of that, John Bonham's son was playing drums for him. For the original drummer of Zeppelin, his son was playing with the ladies from Heart as they covered Led Zeppelin. Was not a Led Zeppelin fan. She's like, no way.
You play things for me, and I don't know who they are, but I just know what I like and what I don't like.
Lori likes.
Sorry.
Lori likes Foreigner because of all the wholesome lyrics. Miriam is on the second zine. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. That's awesome. Good job, Miriam. You're ahead of me. I'm not there yet. I'm metering it out. The 3 prompts. Just so that take part in it, really engage in it, and have fun. All right, where are we at? Participating. Riri loved Heart. Yeah, check that out. Check that out, Riri. It's Ann and Nancy Wilson singing Led Zeppelin to Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, that was so cool.
And they loved it. There's tears on that platform. And then, if you like, if you are a Zeppelin fan, John Paul Jones is in a new band with Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age. It's called Them Crooked Vultures, and it's pretty great. They're pretty great. I talked about this before. I love those bands that have not just those power trios or power bands that of course Cream, but Oysterhead with the guy from Fish, the guy from Primus, and the drummer of the Police. Like, it's just, there's cool bands out there. Tune in next thing. We'll be playing with one-page stories. Yeah, go for it, Miriam. It's a lot of fun. Peter Gabriel. This is Chris's favorites. Peter Gabriel, Aha, Duran Duran, Eraser, Pet Shop Boys, Modern Talking, Michael Jackson. Somebody grew up in the 80s. Somebody was a teenager in the 80s. Some good music. I was like playing, I went to pick up Lori, her mom and dad's in St. Thomas, which is about, how long is it? Half an hour, 45 minutes? And I was playing Genesis. I don't know what album that was, but do you remember what album that is we got in the van?
Oh. That's terrible. Okay, come on. That's one of my favorite albums.
Can't remember the name of it.
It's the last one, right? With Phil Collins.
And then it became Tarzan. Something to do with Tarzan.
Oh yeah, so good.
But if you listen really closely, you can hear him calling in the air tonight.
Yes.
I like the album before it. That's my favorite Genesis album.
Oh.
It's the one before that. What is that? Land of Confusion?
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
It's a great album. Okay, so here's our 80s guy. I'll do some of that extreme light pink background. And I'll tighten all this up later. But I'm just trying to throw down as much of the composition as we can get cracking on here. So next up, we'll get into some dinosaurs. Speaking of dinosaur sightings, there's this comic series or cartoon series that I've been watching for years, and called the Venture Brothers. And there's this big debate about, whether Loch Ness Monster is real or not. And this other character walks into the argument and goes, "Ogo Pogo," which is the Great Lakes version of the Loch Ness Monster. And Ogo Pogo, a plesiosaur confirmed. It's like end of the argument. So good. I like Sharon, Lois, and Bram. Oh, who doesn't? I've met Sharon and Bram.
Yeah.
I only met 2 of the 3, but
Oh.
yeah, they came to London years ago, part of the folk festival.
Oh, yeah.
And so when the kids were little, they're Sharon and Lois, or no, Sharon and Bram, but I didn't meet Lois. The kids were like, "I don't know who this is, Dad." It was so great. It was one of those moments where you're so proud. Look, kids, it's Sharon, Lois, and Bram. Do you guys want to go see Sharon, Lois, and Bram? We get some ice cream. So good. Christian Scott Sava painted the same guy today during his stream. He's doing an alphabet of singers from the 80s. Did he really? That's fantastic. Well, I don't know what that says about a person if the go-to for the 1980s is your bad haircut. That's kind of fun. I like that. I don't know who Christopher Scott Sava is. I'll have to look that up. But he likes good characters. You know why he did this guy? Because he couldn't get away. Sorry. I have to head out. Great to have you on the stream today, Lori.
Thanks, Dee Dee.
Oh, thanks for coming out. Take care, Dee Dee. Yeah, have a good weekend. It's Christopher Scott Sava. Okay, so let's. I gotta write it down. I'm gonna forget. Christopher Scott Sava. Hey, 2 of my names. My full name is Christopher Kowalnichuk Michael Zebediah Scott Runciman. Some of those names are true. Some of them are. Not all of them, but some of them. Okay, what can anybody think of a very 80s hat to wear? Oh, wait, I already answered that myself. John still wears one. Your brother still wears one. Remember when we were taking him to the...
Nobody wears those hats anymore.
But we took Lori's brother to go to the Almer Fair and Truck and Tractor Pull. And her brother has a baseball cap that has the fabric behind it so he doesn't get sunburned on the back of his neck. Yeah. It's so cute. It's for my neck. Yeah, I know, buddy. Yeah, so my neck doesn't get burned.
He's probably had that hat for 20 years. I don't think they sell those things.
I don't think anyone makes them. You watch some fashion design students are going to start to bring out a whole line of those. What? Some fashion design students are going to bring out a whole line of those and think it's like it's so cutting edge and retro, and John still owns his. Wears his on a daily basis. I was gonna wear, and I don't know if people know what this is. If you're outside of Canada, I don't know if it's a North American international thing. Yeah, I was gonna wear a John Deere hat to the Elmer Fair, and which is a very farm oriented fairgrounds, and it seriously has a major part of it, at least a half of this fairground. It really is a tractor pull, and I don't know. It's just cutting too close. It's just too close, too sharp. Don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. That guy thinks his hat is funny, because it is funny.
No,
It's a bright green hat.
I think you would have blended right in.
People would have been asking me farm questions. What's your favorite manure? I don't know. Yeah, cows. Am I right? Like, you know. I picture every question ending with this. So, manure, right? Well, I know I'm terrible. I'm a terrible monster. It was a lot of fun. It was a fun show, and they had all of the foodstuffs up because we went on the last day, and they still had all the foodstuffs on display from the baked goods and everything else from Friday. But because of how hot it was, all of them were turning. And like the entire display was turning, and it was like, you know, because John's vision, he keeps going, oh, those are muffins, and he's getting really close to them, and I'm like, John, don't get too close to those. Riri says, yeah, we got John Deere. But do you have a John Deere hat? I also got a Toronto Maple Leafs hat. These are hats that Lori's dad gave me. Here, John likes these. So they're hats for me to wear when I'm hanging out with John. Good.
He's coming over
next weekend. John will be here. For those of you that haven't seen a stream with John in it before, and if you haven't, they're the best ones. They're the best streams I ever do. When my brother-in-law's here with me, we have a ball. One of those streams, we talk about Chinese food for half an hour. Yeah. And Chinese food. Yeah. Yeah. And then at one point, John says, as soon as we're done, Chinese food. It's like, hurry up. And I draw whatever hockey player John chooses for me to play, or for me to draw. So.
You'll have you draw a baseball player this time.
Oh, is he? Yeah, is he?
Although he keeps saying he's not as familiar with the Toronto Blue Jays team as he used to be.
John has been a lifelong Toronto Maple Leafs hockey team fan, and just fill in whatever sport of choice that you like wherever you are. And but his favorite sports team that he likes hasn't won. In this case, the Stanley Cup. They haven't won the game, like the big title, since 1968. And so, never seen a Stanley Cup win by the Toronto Maple Leafs, and yet he's such a strong fan. And every year, at the start of every season, what does he say? This is going to be the year. This is going to be the year.
Yeah.
And then, you know, usually 10 games in, he says, these guys are screwing up. It's not going to happen this year. He makes the decision that fast. He just knows. It ain't happening. Yeah, that's better slope. Okay, so here's a dinosaur wearing one of those hats. And I'm just having fun with this page. So we're going to put a whole bunch of images together, one leading into the next, and just incorporating all of these 80s elements and dinosaur elements universally. So while this says dinosaurs were alive in Africa in the 1980s, I'm putting dinosaurs in 1980s clothing and hairstyles, and because that's what my brain does. That's how my brain works. Does John also believe the Great Pumpkin will arise? Where's John Stanton up there comfy? He gives us a list for his birthday. Birthday coming up soon. Here's the list. John, he and his roommate at how do you describe Sensitive? I used to say it's the deaf love, supportive living for deaf-blind people, right?
Yeah.
He took a trip to Chicago because he likes all the Chicago Hope shows.
Yeah.
So John saved up so that he and workers that would go with him could go and check out the fire engines and the fire, like the fire department and the police department from Chicago.
Wednesday nights is Chicago TV.
All the Chicago shows, because there's not just like one or two of them anymore. It's like, but that was a big trip for him. He's got lots of photos of him standing there going in different places. He's my bud. I've said this before on the stream. When John and I walk together, if you see us walking together, it looks like the A&W Bear commercials that they used to have, where the A&W Bear walks down the street with like a little kid, because the size difference is so big between your brother and I, that when I think it was you that pointed it out when we were going.
Well, it was in Godrich.
The home of the two-headed cow museum.
We were going down the old train trestle.
And all Lori could hear in her head was dun 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 dun. Yeah. As I told before about my friend Mike, does War of 1812 reenactment thing, and he has a cannon, a 5-pound ball cannon, and he had me bring John out. He had us bring John to a reenactment thing, and shot the cannon off for John. And there's no ball coming out of it or anything. It's just a rag wad that it just bursts out when it gets shot. But turn your hearing aids right down. Turn them off. He says to John. And so John does. And then when that cannon goes off, John turns and looks at me and goes, "That was loud!" He just screams it at me. And meanwhile, everybody around him's going, "Oh my goodness, that was loud." We knew. Okay, so here's my happy smiling dinosaur in his 1980s canvasback hat. I'm sure there's places throughout the world where people are still wearing these. That's the thing about a lot of North American fashion, is it's so brief. A lot of clothing styles last very short times here and disappear. And then you go over to different parts of the world and they're just fully decked out in it for, 10 years later. It's kind of fun. It sounds like a lot of fun. He's a good sport. He's the best. So you'll see him next Friday.
Well, oh, yeah, maybe he is coming Friday afternoon.
Yeah, I told him next time he comes over, we're going to do a stream and have some Chinese food.
Oh, okay.
So I've signed us into that now. Chinese food. So, yeah. All right. So what I'm doing in these panels that I'm drawing, I'm making sure to have just for something interesting for myself, really. I'm making sure that I've got his elbow punching into the next panel, and then as I've got this dinosaur here, and the reason that I'm leaving spaces like this and spaces like this here is you got to have some accommodation of space for text, and so that's what that is. That's what I'm up to, Corbin. It's Friday fun day, so everything's gotta be fun. I don't know when I started saying Fridays are fun days. Maybe that fits that John's coming around on a Friday.
Sure.
We'll get some Chinese food. It's always fun. John's been on a couple times. If you look up in the videos, if you see a video where it's a picture of a hockey player, That's John and I.
It's like, that was done like December 2021 or January 2022.
Yeah, in fact, he's been on once each year. It's the John appearances once each year. Can you add a T-Rex? Small hands can create a joke there. There we go. Yeah, definitely put a T-Rex in here. Maybe I can make some kind of, oh no, I guess the small faces of the 70s. I was thinking of a small hand, small face joke. Put a T-Rex in a relaxed shirt. Hi, Mandy, how are you? Welcome aboard. Today's suggestion is dinosaurs were alive in Africa in the 1980s. And so we're doing it as dinosaurs, of course, dressed in 1980s wear. You know what I should do? I should do like an 80s style kitchen with a T-Rex going, check out our kitchen. Little hands. Check out our kitchen. I think that's what I'll do.
What color was your fridge growing up?
Oh, that's a question. That's how you know how old people's fridges were, or how, like, you know what time period people grew up in by the color of their fridge. Because taupe roots you hardcore in the 70s.
Taupe?
Not like it's like a creamy green, like just the weird fridge color from the 70s. That awful, gaudy.
And the dark brown that was popular. My neighbors had that. We always had the mustard yellow
Fridge.
Yeah.
The really tricked out kitchens are the ones that everything's in like a pastel green. Ooh, that's fancy. There's a replica in the Smithsonian now of the I Dream of Jeannie stove. And it's a big deal because there's only two that are surviving right now. It's something called like the Imperial, and it folded out of the wall. So the burners actually pull out of the wall. So your stove gets pushed into the stove gets pushed into the 4 burners get pushed in the wall, and there's the oven above it. It's look it up. The I Dream of Jeannie stove and oven set is just bonkers. But they've got a working one in the Smithsonian. All right, so I'm just putting down some of those bits of information here. So this is going to play like a, hey, remember the 80s kind of a thing. You should have the dinosaur eating the weird patterned couch from the 80s. There's so many awful patterns in the 1980s. Yeah, let me think. Okay, if I do a T-Rex and I put him in a relaxed t-shirt, right? That would work, wouldn't it? Frankie Say Relax, wasn't that? That's the 80s, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's just do that. Yeah, I've got talking about Africa in the 80s, and I drew the Flock of Seagulls guy, and when I look at it now, I'm like, why would I do him? Why wouldn't I do some prominent African performer from the 80s? Could have done Paul Simon, for heaven's sakes.
I was just gonna say Paul Simon.
There's a series on Disney reviving the 80s foods, gadgets, commercials. I think Rob Lowe's hosting it. Yes, he would, and he'd be very good at it too. I love how Rob Lowe talks now. It's just the most one of the most Caucasian people on the planet. Excellent. He was really good on Parks and Recreation, where he was the guy who was always working out, and he had a great name. I don't know his name was. I'm not sure. It's Chris. It's Chris. It's a good name. And Goat Boy. There was a SNL character called Goat Boy, where So you know what I should draw here is I should do a scene of like an African environment. Like I should draw pictures of like the African landscape. That's the word I'm trying to find. It's Friday. I'm doing my best. Anyways, I hope everybody's going to have a good weekend too. Before I forget to say that, because remembering things is hard for me apparently today. So I'll draw one of these scrub brush trees that has that kind of ragtag sort of shape to it. It's got the branches coming and spreading out from up and underneath. Nice and tall so it can feed all of the giraffes and brontosaurus. These are both their names. They have to be. All right, now do a nice wash over this too. So it's Corbin just got done. Big sky. See, if this was Australia, I could do a midnight oil joke here. What's up, buddy? Oh, you want to say hi to everybody?
I think he's saying it's almost 3:30 and time for him to eat or something. I don't know.
It's me time now. Well, I'll finish this one up. And then, so the plan is, all right, let's put down the key pieces of information I got to have in here. I got to have a T-Rex. I got to have eating a couch. Weird design. He gets so mad, eh? Maybe I should have Rob Lowe running. I really like the effects you're creating with the jelly plate background. That's the fun part about the jelly plating. This isn't actually the jelly plating. This is the rolling page with the excess paint. And so you get all this fantastic granular texture in here. And I highly recommend not throwing these parts out so you can get all of that to use. And what's fun about this is that you don't know what the original color of the page is because the yellow is so smooth. It's pink. It's pink. Miriam says, "Shush, Corbin, or my dogs are going to bark." Yeah, it's super fun. The jelly plating textures. I don't know where I put any of that paper I have. It doesn't matter. Like this is a jelly plating surface that I have to work on to finish a piece this weekend. And I don't know about you, but does anybody know what animal I see in this? I'll give you a minute to check it out. But what animal does that make you think of? All right. Okay, so we've all had a chance to have a look. Fun Time Friday. Yeah.
It looks like an elephant.
It's an elephant. It's totally an elephant. Everybody gets it too.